Welcome to Stdrums TV. Today a very special episode which is not filmed in our headquarters in Pirmasens, but actually we are visiting a drum collector at home. This is going to be the first video in a series of videos. We have planned to visit many different drum collectors to show us their collection and to talk a little bit about their passion for drums and for the particular models that they like. Today we are visiting Jan Palkoska, who is probably the guy with the most passion for Sonor Phonics and maybe even the biggest phonic collection in Germany. Also, what's special about Jan is that he has experience actually working at Sonor, so he has a lot of information also from behind the scenes that he will share with us. So I hope you enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe and see you again at the end of the video. So maybe it's here, let's have a look if this is the right house. A nice car over there. Oh, if you check the license plate, I think that's the right place.
Welcome, Jonas. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course.
For us.
For me, it's an honor to actually talk to you because I know Stdrums for almost all the years of Stdrums in existence, and we had a little chat earlier. I also showed you what kind of stuff I purchased from you earlier, and Stdrums helped me very often, like getting drums working again.
Yeah, thanks for having us and sharing your awesome collection with us and with our viewers. And yeah, I'm really excited. I brought some small gifts, some stickers and coasters.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Ooh! Phonic. Brilliant, love it. And I get goosebumps. The drummer's drum. That used to be the title of the first catalog where the phonic drums were introduced.
Maybe we can just talk a little bit about the collection itself, and then we sit down for an interview part and go more into detail. Also, today we've actually filmed for two videos. The one that you're watching right now is a portrait of Jan and his collection, but also we collect some information about the phonic series in particular, and there will be some material used in the second episode of our phonic video. Yeah, so hopefully in editing we can manage to get the information across to each video. That's important.
Yes, Jonas, welcome, welcome. You actually call it a collection. Everyone who comes here calls it a collection, but I do not call it a collection. Like, yes, it's loads of drums, but I wouldn't consider myself being a collector because I never have or had the intention of accumulating as many Sonor drums as possible. And a collector is on a quest. A collector wants to preserve history. A collector, like a stamp collector, he wants to have, or she wants to have all the stamps from a certain area in a certain period. And I love phonic drums, but I never had the intention to have all the catalog items or all the finishes. Even though I must say, how to call it? I actually call it an arsenal, because these are drums also for playing. And when you come into here, I sometimes just, like, if for a video shoot, if I need a blue drum kit, I've got a blue drum kit, and I just go and collect the stuff. So I would call it an arsenal, and yeah.
So it's fair to say, when you had a good chance to buy something, you got it, and also if you were in need or some particular drums were exciting for you, then that's your point of focus, but not in general every phonic, every Sonor, whatever.
There was some purchases made by purpose. There was a period where I loved to play a huge bass drum, so I had to get a 24-inch one. My first drum kit actually had an 18-inch one, and if I play small club gigs, I love to play the bebop configuration. I used to play, or I sometimes play in heavy metal bands, so it's great to have like a double kick set up. And there's one dimension of collecting concerning my arsenal is when I have one finish, I try to have as many drum sizes in that finish to be utmost flexible. So one day I'd like to play a 20-inch bass drum, the other day I might like to play a 24-inch bass drum. So I can use the same toms, but like change the bass drums. So this is why I've got so many drums.
If a young person starts being interested in Sonor, in old German drums, is there a particular set that you would recommend to get started with, or something that's not as expensive to start collecting?
Well, actually the Phonic line is a brilliant starting point to get into vintage drums. First of all, most of them are in a good state. They are produced in such a robust way. When I purchase old Phonic drums, there's rarely a drum which had to be completely reworked. The chroming is superb. The shells are so heavy you can't really destroy them, and even if the finish is scratched, it really doesn't affect the sound. So if you want to start with vintage drums, these are not problem childs. These are all great and solid drums. But talking about price, recently the prices have gone up. But this only accounts for certain configurations and certain finishes. But if you buy the basic configuration, the most sold configuration, a 22-inch bass drum, 13, 14 rack toms, 16 floor toms, they are available and they are fairly cheap. If you're a small child, then it's actually a bit complicated to play. But they were produced in small sizes as well. But like a bebop configuration is rather expensive.
So when I look around, most of the drums you own are Phonics, but this oval-shaped mount caught my attention. This seems to be a champion drum kit. Can you talk a little bit about this one?
Well, this was born as a super champion, but this is completely remanufactured at Sonor. As you can tell, it hasn't got the boat-shaped tom holder as the Phonic line or the square ones here. So this started its life as a super champion, but it was reworked at Sonor, so it's got a different badge. But yes, this is a super champion, and it is part of my arsenal because I think the whole Phonic line started with the super champion series. The Super Champion series or Champion series started in '71, and it was the result of a whole revamp of the factory at Sonor. They purchased new machines, they had a different assembly line, and as you can see by the design elements are fairly similar to the Phonic. So I think the Super Champion is the real predecessor of the Phonic. Yes, the bearing edges are different and some hardware features are different, but by the DNA, this is like the predecessor of the Phonic line. And
shell-wise, all of the drums are also 9-ply? Is that correct, or just the bass drum?
These are really heavy ones. The shells are 9-ply. Yeah, you can tell it like they are much heavier, and some of the Phonics, we spoke about that in the other feature, are not as thick.
Now mentioning the first episode of our Phonic series, you had a small part in the video talking about smaller drum sizes. Can we maybe see one or two of them in person again?
Yeah, here's one. That's a 6-inch. These are fairly rare, to be honest. And as you can tell, the shell construction is a little bit different to the Phonics.
So this one is the horizontal grain?
Yeah.
With such a narrow shell, it's hard to tell how thick the shell really is.
Yeah, it is. And but this is one of those examples where the shell construction is a little bit different. And because these veneers are peeled, you can tell that they look different.
Jan's personal love for Sonor drums actually started with this white Phonic Bob kit. This particular set was his first drum set and he plans to keep it forever. In the early and mid-90s, when famous drummers played rather large kits, Jan developed kind of a love-hate relationship with his kit, because it looked nothing like the trendy new drums at the time. After finding the contact of Stdrums in a drum magazine, he called my father asking for a new custom set. My father asked Jan what set he played at the moment, and after finding out that Jan actually owned a white Phonic Bob kit, he said he should better hold on to this set instead of getting a new custom set made, because it's quite rare, and because of the high quality, a very desirable kit. This was when Jan started getting into vintage drums and started appreciating the kit he owned. However, the wrap started to yellow and wasn't that nice anymore. So when meeting Sonor employee Martin Knebel at the Musikmesse in Frankfurt, Martin offered Jan to get his kit re-wrapped in the Sonor factory. Unfortunately, we lost some of the footage, but now we re-enter the interview at the point where we just talked about his white Bob kit and the history behind it.
I'm not trying to pretend it's a time capsule drum kit, and I like it because it makes it special and it's got its own history, and yeah, so this is all original Sonor. Yes, it had a second lease of life, but it makes me even more proud of it.
Yes, it's understandable. I think even though we often help people out with their drum wraps and re-wrap stuff, but I think to get it done by the original factory, that's really something special. I guess not many Phonic kits like this are out there.
No, I don't think so. I must say, over the years, I accumulated some more white drums, and I'm lucky to have all the sizes and all remanufactured in white. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also the red Super Champion behind you has the same badge, so I can...
Yeah, this is a remanufactured drums as well. I must say, all the other drums are original. Mm-hmm. I don't like to play around with them too much. But this one was in a really, really bad visual state. Mm-hmm. Structurally, it was perfect. This came from a music school as well. It was yellowed. It had this metallic silver finish. It was more yellow than anything else. And so this is actually an SQ2 wrap. And the whole shell was reworked. It's got now 45-degree bearing edge and sealed inside. So this is a Super Champion from the early stage, but completely remanufactured at Sonor. So yeah, it's not original, but it's in a lovely playing condition. And I know the people who have done it, and that makes them even more valuable for myself.
Even though many things in your room caught my attention, like I really love the mahogany finish and the oak finish, and of course the rare sizes to see. But there's one tom that you showed to me earlier that is, I think, like the most special. People probably have never seen anything like it before. You know which one I mean? Can you show it to the people and maybe talk a little bit about the history of that drum set?
Well, I think that was in 2005 or 2006. I've done an internship at Sonor, and I had the chance to learn all production steps in the factory, like from shell manufacturing to also doing the spray paint. And as a thank you from Sonor, they offered that they could do something for me, and initially the idea was to get one of my old drum kits like refurbished or remanufactured. And then we just started experimenting with finishes and colors, and and eventually we came up with this one. It's like a very special drum kit. We even remanufactured some smaller sized toms as well. So I actually got a gold glitter. I used to call it a latte macchiato gold sparkle. So, well, Sonor has always done like custom jobs. All the big stars have their custom drums. This is a custom drum kit for myself. I feel very blessed that we did it. Everyone can get drums refinished at Sonor, but this is like a one-off kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But the lugs and the hardware, did they still have it in store in around that time, 2006 or?
Well, this is like a I call it like a Frankenstein drum kit. So I've got a whole drum kit of this, consisting of 2 bass drums, 3 rack toms, a floor tom, and a snare drum. And I wanted it to look like a phonic. And so we actually used some old phonic shells on it and some newly built ones.
So sorry if I interrupt. So they did in 2006-07. They did build new thick beach shells, especially for this kit. Wow.
Well, if you look at the SQ2 configurator, you can get heavy beach shells, and Sonor's got their 150th anniversary this year, and look what they brought out. So the classic drum shells are again there. So Sonor could always build them, and Sonor always did custom orders. So this is one of the examples. You couldn't have ordered like a phonic drum kit in 2006, but as many people know, the phonic drum line was never like completely discontinued. Like for the Japanese market, the snare drums were still available, and some of the hardware, like these lugs, they were still used in the marching line. So the stuff was still there, but the phonic line, as we know it from back in the days, disappeared. Or was discontinued. Other lines came.
So now that we know that you would keep your white kit, or in case of a fire, you would rescue your white kit first.
Yeah.
Is there a particular kit that probably has the most value money-wise, like in general for other people, not personal value?
Interesting question, because the prices vary drastically with the phonics. As we said earlier, the standard configuration 22-inch bass drum, 13, 14, 16 is available mostly really cheap, to be honest. But you get loads of drums for it, and the most highly priced ones are actually the bebop kits. I've got a few. I've got one in oak, one in I've got a few, and I would say the bob kits are the most highly priced ones. But saying this, if you really want to get like a 6-inch or an 8-inch or a 10-inch drums, they fetch ridiculous high prices. When you think of Sonor Phonic Drums and who played them, it's AC/DC, it's Iron Maiden, and especially Iron Maiden. If you see Nico McBrain on his like massive drum kit, there are collectors out there who want to build a replica Iron Maiden drum kit, and therefore you need a 6, 8, and 10, you know, and the 18 down there, and the 15 and the 16, and I'm saying everything out of the standard range from 13, 14, 16, it gets more expensive the smaller it gets, and it gets more expensive the larger it gets. And like an 18-inch floor tom is really in demand, so is the 6-inch. But I would say like 6-inch, I've seen people paying like a 4-figure number for a 6-inch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there maybe one particular piece missing in your arsenal that you wish that you could find someday?
Actually, there's nothing like a holy grail like I still need to have. I've got all the drums I really need for my music. Of course, I want to have maybe some other finishes as well, or I'd like to have, here's the lilac one, I'd like to have some more toms for that one. But for me, it's sometimes more like the history which comes with some of the drums. As you can see, I've got the oak finish as well. And I could do like a replica AC/DC Back in Black recording drum kit, but it's not the original. And so I think if I could own like a phonic drum which was played by like, let's say, AC/DC or Iron Maiden, that would be the icing of the cake, but there's no particular drum I need for any musical. Yeah. Oh, actually I know one. I actually love to have the drum kit which was used on the ABBA tours, because ABBA, they also had a white phonic drum kit, same finish, but a massive one, as big as Nico McBrain's drum kit, and I think that would be lovely. There's one great picture of ABBA being on stage, and you see the big white drum kit. That looks amazing.
Knowing that you know people at Sonor, do you have any information on like, let's say, kits that were historical kits that were built for endorsers? Do you know where they end up usually? Do the people keep them, or do they go back to Sonor?
I'm talking about people working at Sonor. Most of the people I know, they actually don't work at Sonor anymore. Those are friends I made in the early 2000s. Sonor has got endorser drum kits. So some of the drum kits which were played by endorsers are actually going back to Sonor. Some of them are actually just being sold to other customers, to other shops. But I must say, I think there's a misconception that people think like there's loads of these drum kits out there. And if Olaf Bungert by ABBA has this white drum kit, I'm pretty much sure he kept this for the rest of his life. So I don't know where it ended up. Maybe it's in the ABBA museum. Maybe someone out there can tell me where this very drum kit is. Might be there, yeah.
Maybe one more question about your personal arsenal. Do you own any drum that's not by Sonor?
Not anymore. Not anymore. I used to have all the, I had almost every classic snare drum. I had all the Ludwigs, the Slingerlands, I had some Premier, I had Rogers, I had Gretsch. But no, I'm just down to Sonor these days.
It's not visible in the camera right now, but you also own some more contemporary Sonor series. Can you talk about the ones that you got right now?
I've got two D-Lite drum kits. D-Lite is out of production as well, but the drum shells still live in the SQ2 series and in the ProLite series. But yeah, when that drum kit, that drum line was introduced in the early 2000s, Sonor had a very new and different approach to drums. And I actually, what I love about the D-Lite is it's got a very different shell construction, but it has got design features of the Phonic. It's got the little ridges in the lugs. The bass drum spurs look like Phonic, and they introduced lovely finishes. I've got the ebony one here, and in my drum booth I've got the finish is called BAZ, Bird's Eye Azure. It's a lovely, very luster finish. It's supposed to be blue, it's azure, but it's actually more like a turquoise, and depending on light it all looks different. So I'm not just the Phonics, I also play some modern drum kits.
Do you have back problems from carrying Phonics?
Oh my god. Phonic drums are so heavy, especially Phonic Pluses, and I must say this is why I dig the small configuration, 18-inch, 12, 14. This is alright to carry, but to carry a 24-inch by 18 Phonic Plus, it does kill you. And when you want it like super authentic, you have to have the cymbal stands as well. And this is so heavy. I mean, on the positive side, they will never break. And the chroming is superb, and back in the 70s when bands played loads of shows and the gigging was rough, those were the best drums for this kind of purpose.
If you allow me, if your house gets ever invaded by intruders, you...
yeah, you can certainly kill someone with that one.
When we came in today, we saw a car with the Sonor license plate.
Yeah.
And I think we both see a parallel between old massive German drums and also old high quality German cars from that era. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the connection there?
Well, I don't know if it's a connection or if it's a similarity, but Mercedes back in the days, you're referring to my car outside. The S-Class claimed to be the best car in the world. And when you look at old Sonor ads, I've got some laying around here. They are claiming to be the best drums as well. And I think it's more like an attitude, it's a self-promise. What is the best car, what is the best drum kit? And many people will say, well, this is the best drum kit because this sounds the best, or that drum kit is the best because it's got the best price value. This is the best drum kit because it looks flashy. But I think Sonor was on a different... they had a different strategy, I think. I think they wanted to build the best drums to gig with, to play with. Talking about the 70s, the Phonic line came out in 76, and rock bands were touring and they needed heavy-duty gear. And I think the Sonor drums of those days weren't maybe the most flashy-looking ones. If you compare them with the Ludwig Vistalites, you know, they had much more color combinations. Or you can never argue that a Sonor Phonic drum kit sounds the best, because this is all to taste. But what you can argue is stability, craftsmanship, sturdiness of the cymbal stands. These cymbal stands you see here, I've used them all my life. They were actually produced before I was born. No single thread has ever worn out. So I think the claim of being the best drums is down to usability. And I can still use them to this day. And all of those drums you see here, they're all unrefurbished. They are how they were produced back in the 70s and 80s. And I think a similar approach was what Mercedes they wanted to produce really reliable cars. And I think that those are the most reliable drums ever built.
So this was the episode. If you want to support the channel, please subscribe and comment below. And if you got a drum collection that you would like to share with the world, you can contact us. Go to stdrums.com, and then on the bottom of the front page there's a contact form. Just type in your email address and a little message for us, and we will contact you then and maybe exchange some details and some pictures about your collection. And if you're not that far away, we might decide to actually visit you and to show the collection to the world. So thanks again for watching. Thanks to Jan Polkowska for showing us his collection, and see you in the next video.